Hey Matt, welcome to the Let's Talk Paralegal podcast. I'm super excited. I actually found you through your TikTok, even though I don't have a TikTok account. So TikTok has this funny way of kind of, getting its way to other platforms. And that's where I discovered your wonderful talent in kind of educating in a humorous yet like real way, kind of like what the legal industry is about and the truths of the legal industry, but in a way where everybody can understand it, right? Which is kind of the theme of the Let's Talk Paralegal podcast is to educate our legal professionals and anyone else that wants to learn about the legal industry in general is basically showing them the truths of the legal industry. So you're going to bring up a couple of topics that I know paralegals in particular are going to really benefit from. And it's about kind of law school, what it's all about, what to expect, and then other things that you can do with that degree, right?
Yeah, thanks for having me. That's an absolute pleasure to be here, to be part of your great podcast. And for sure, there's a lot to talk about, especially when it comes to sort of a bit less standard legal career. It being TikToks or legal tech, legal ops, things that they don't teach you at law school. So definitely buzzing here, and looking
That's
forward to
awesome.
talk our conversation today.
That's awesome. So let's start with law school, the experience, kind of what it teaches you, what it doesn't teach you, right? Which is probably more.
Coming back to law school and sort of my time at law school, it was it was an interesting time. It was quite a competitive time. This is the time where you sort of have to prove that you're good, and sort of you learn that you have to be good. You have to be quote unquote perfect at what you do. And they teach you. They obviously teach you the basics of law, where to find what you need to what you need to find. Obviously, case law. Obviously, applying the law as well. It's great, but fast forward to 2022. I think that law school doesn't cut it anymore, and I presented this in a number of in some of my TikToks, some of my posts on LinkedIn as well, and I've asked my audience what they think about sort of the standard law school syllabus. Is it enough, or is it not enough? Do law students need more to sort of to find a way that is suitable for them in the more, let's say, modern legal world? And the answers were pretty much no. It's not enough. Like you need to know a bit more about the industry in general. You need to know about alternative legal paths, a little bit about technology, legal design, legal content creation, and things like that. So law school it gives you a good basics, and it was pretty much and the sort of the standard syllabus. It's been great, but it's been unchanged since, I guess, decades. So there's definitely a lot that can be done. And when I graduated from law school, I mean, when I graduated from law school, I just felt like there's just one option, being an in-house lawyer working for a company, or being a client-facing lawyer, and that's it. Like I remember Googling alternative legal paths because there was no mention about those sort of paths at all at law school, and that is quite frustrating. And I mean, it was a couple of years ago, so it wasn't like years and years ago. It was. I'm not saying this was like 20 years ago. It wasn't a long time ago. So you would expect that things would start changing back then. Let's say 8 years ago, but no, it was pretty much same old. So there's definitely a lot to be added to the syllabus, because the legal career, legal industry, is much more than being a solicitor, barrister, attorney, lawyer. in-house lawyer, whatever you call it.
No, I understand. I working with attorneys for a long time as a paralegal. Another thing that probably they don't teach at law school is what do paralegals do? You know, how can you utilize a paralegal if you are going to go that traditional route? Do they have to be full-time? Can they be part-time? What's this whole contract thing, you know, or freelance work? I mean, there's so many other options as well to get like legal support for if you're going the traditional route. But I think law school and the legal industry in general, right, is like to its original form. It hasn't really caught up with the times. It hasn't really been updated. And I think the pandemic, in a way, kind of expedited what was the inevitable, right? Legal technology, software enhancements, working virtual or remote. That was something that the legal industry wasn't really looking at before the pandemic and before they were literally forced to utilize those types of, I guess, software in general. And I know you have a lot to do with legal technology, and that's kind of your jam right now. And that's part of like the alternative paths that you're going to talk about today. So that was a nice little segue. But I have seen that. I have seen that the legal software in general has upgraded, has enhanced, has really, their updates have been not just like that 1%, 2% that we usually see. They're really adapting to this, what everybody's calling a new normal, but I think should have already been normal, right? I think the pandemic just kind of expedited what was inevitable. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, I've seen some data a few weeks ago that the pandemic sort of sped up the process of digital transformation by 6 years. So yeah. Wow. So that's just from the beginning of pandemic. I think it was 6.2, but yeah, don't quote me on that. I've seen some data on this, and yeah, I feel like this is great because yeah, taking a step back, legal is business. I mean, legal means business. We are sort of moving back from from a legal part of a company. Okay, so yeah, if we're talking about in-house lawyers, they're more and more seen as a part of the business that can generate some revenue, can generate measurable value. They can have ROI. It's obviously different than business, than sort of commercial business sales, because they work on contracts. They don't have that much to do with the actual revenue of the company. They might, but they work on contracts, and what we're focusing with in-house legal is just trying to make sure that we deal with contracts as efficiently as possible, that we can turn this contract into something great for our company, and that we reduce the time of executing a contract, because time kills contracts. So if you take your time, take your sweet time negotiating contracts, and it takes months, it takes years, yeah, the chances are it's never going to be, one of the parties is going to say, oh well, it took so long, it's just not worth it. So yeah, so that's an important part of the change that I see, and technology is super important to achieve this goal. But it's definitely sort of it's an element that is not the most important one. So moving back to when I graduated from law school, my, let's say, legal tech experience, my technology experience was little to no experience. My experience was purely legal. I moved into legal tech, and this is when I've learned a lot of techniques, how you can manage the data, how you can automate documents, how you can automate your processes, how you can structure your work better, how you can digitize the way in which you work. So basically that is something that can be learned, and you don't have to spend years and years learning how to use an AI product or how to automate a document. If the solution is simple enough, you can learn it in a few days, and you can learn it really well. So
Okay.
yeah, I feel like the most important part is just to have that understanding of the legal part, because at the end of the day, we are talking about legal processes. You need to know how, so what needs to be done and when, and where the biggest risks lie. So that is something vital. And also the business part as well, sort of how this legal process sits within the bigger organizational structure, company structure, and that together can really give you great results.
Oh, I love that. I love how the combination is really what makes it. I mean, I guess that makes sense. Do you think that law school had, I guess, anything to do with the learning that legal part that you were just discussing or describing?
So my legal tech experience from law school was mainly LexisNexis, Lawtel, and Westlaw. Basically, we had, I guess it was like a mini training on those like legal research platforms. And that's it. I mean, it took me like half an hour to complete. So that's it for the legal tech experience from law school. I definitely think that should be part of the syllabus. I don't think we should teach law students how to code, because that is not needed. Like it's an overkill. Like you're supposed to know the legal process. You're supposed to know you're supposed to know sort of how a contract is created, should be created. What are the most important parts of your contract? Where the biggest risk points lie in your contract, and that is important. Not really the sort of nitty-gritty details of how to code sort of the action points, because modern solutions that are pretty no code solutions. So it's pretty easy to create that sort of if then else logic for your attorneys to understand it and being able to build it themselves. So that's quite important.
I love it. Do you think there's I guess a need for legal technicians that can support the attorneys in doing this, or how do you think would be the best way to go about introducing these concepts to the attorneys, right? Because we all know that attorneys are short on time. They, especially if they're already booming in their firm, or they're like in that momentum where the growth is coming, right? Any suggestions as to how they can learn this? Is there a more efficient way to utilize their time? What do you think?
Yeah, certainly. So one of the problems is that lawyers, they know their pain points, but they don't have the bigger picture. So we need to have someone that can orchestrate that and can see, okay, this say, depending how many lawyers you have, if you have 5 lawyers, it's kind of easier. But if you have 20, 50 lawyers, you need to know sort of what the pain points are, and sort of starting with the main ones, the low-hanging fruits. So really just going for things that we can fix pretty easily without focusing too much time, too much effort, and you need that person to be able to do that. So yeah, I mean, what you would say about that lack of time, it is a problem, but you need to have that sort of the strategy in place, because if you know that you're going into the direction that is going to increase efficiency, is going to bring value to the company, you are much more willing to sort of get involved in this. Because if you're running it all by yourself, if all lawyers were running their own projects, that would be a complete disaster, because everyone would just work on their precedent automation. So everyone would automate the precedent, but that just wouldn't be worth it, because like it's not the point to automate everything. It's the point to automate as little as possible to get the biggest value. So we don't want 20 automated precedents. We want one automated precedent working for 20 lawyers. So that's something that needs to be done by a person that can really, give that big picture to those processes. That's one element. And another element that you have to have that leadership support, because you can't really have innovation if you don't have that sort of if your CEO doesn't tell you, okay, you need to focus on this, you will not focus on this. I mean, or coming to law firms, if you don't have your partner saying, okay, this is an important part, I think you should invest your time into this. If you don't have that, I mean, it's just difficult to find to be motivated enough to do it long term, because at first you can be motivated, but it needs to sort of stay that way throughout a long period of time, because it's not only that you automate the process, you need to make sure that it is automated, it is compliant, and it is still okay for you to use it throughout a long period of time, because things change, the legal framework changes, and so needs the automated process.
Right. Yeah. I think that's why consulting and coaching and all this has become like it's always been around, consultants have always been around, business consultants and everything else. But I feel like there's a shift in the air, especially I know in the States, the American Bar Association has really been advocating for apprenticeships, mentorships, consulting, coaching. And I think that's really a good thing, not only because of business, because I know we're talking about the business side and we're talking about efficiency and how it'll ultimately, provide fruitfulness for the firm and the attorneys and everybody else working towards that goal, but it'll also provide customer service excellence, which is what we all strive for, to make sure our clients are, well represented. But it also helps with the mental health aspect of it. And, it's very stressful to do it all on your own. And I think we all can really hit home with that. We can all understand that, and we all can really see that vision that doing it all on your own, it's not necessary. I know especially when I do consulting, because I do consulting, but the first thing they'll say is, how much is it going to cost me? And I'm like, well, how much is your business worth? Because at the end of the day, that's really what's on the table, is your business and how it's going to grow and how it's going to compare to other firms that are doing a lot better on social media. And, I think now it's no longer those billboard ads, or like the bus ad, or like those bench ads or commercials on TV. People don't even watch commercials anymore, because now we can either fast forward it because we're recording them, or we're streaming on Netflix or Hulu and all these other stream networks. So there's really no like commercials, quote unquote. So social media is really the only way to get yourself and promote yourself out there, which is what attracted me to you personally, because you're doing great on TikTok, which I never thought of TikTok as like a business tool, like not something that was in my radar until I saw you and others, especially other attorneys, doing that. And I think that's so it goes with the time, right? Like we have to grow with society, we have to grow with the time. So talk a little bit of how you got to that point, right? Promoting yourself through social media and really getting to that point where like you're really, I mean, you have, I don't know how many followers because I don't have TikTok, but I'm pretty sure you have a lot of followers, and you're really doing great all around. So can you tell us a little bit about that and how that went down?
Yeah, sure. And coming back to your previous point about sort of the marketing strategies that we see in the legal sphere. Yeah, clients, they want to see a person, they don't want to see a brand. I mean, I think the days where people like clients would pick a firm because of the brand, I think there are sort of we are in a different reality now. So people want to see they want to see a human behind it, how we call it, a human behind a lawyer. So yeah, they want to see that, I can give you something more than just providing a legal advice. Legal advice is a given. Every lawyer will give you legal advice, better or worse. This is a standard service that they will give you. So it's a commodity. So you need to be something else. I'm not saying everyone needs to be on TikTok or everyone needs to be business oriented or everyone needs to be a sort of going into legal design and things like that. I think the beauty of it is that now we can be lawyers, but we can do other things at the same time that are a bit more interesting for us. So, for example, TikTok is something that's been quite cool, and I do enjoy making those videos. I do enjoy making laugh at the situations that we sort of all accepted. But if you sort of present them in a slightly different light, you can see that they're just funny. They're just funny. So that is something that I enjoy doing a lot, and it's the best sort of. It's quite rewarding because the best part is that you get a lot of lawyers saying, "Oh, I've been there, done that. I can really identify myself with this." So that is super cool, and that's why I'm making them, because it's also opening the conversation about how can we do it better, how can we sort of think about the situation in a different way. So then we have our conversation. Let's say we have a conversation with our sales team, and they always contact you late on a Friday night with like last minute updates, like contractual updates. I've made some tickets on that, and it's great that it opened a conversation about that. Maybe lawyers are also humans. Maybe they also want to have a bit of free time on a Friday evening, and maybe there's a better time to send your final draft to your legal department than Friday night. So it is opening a conversation through laughter, frankly, through it being a bit funny for the audience. So that is certainly something I enjoy, certainly something I didn't learn at law school. Far from it. But yeah, it's a learning opportunity for me as well, because I'm still quite new to this field, and I know that what I want to do is I want to I don't want to say that working as a lawyer is miserable, because some of those videos are quite ironic, and especially the ones on being an in-house lawyer. Being an in-house lawyer, you're a cost center, and basically you just spend your days formatting Word documents, and you have no support, no technical support. Your team is short-staffed, so you always sort of depending on yourself because there's someone else to help you. Yeah, there are a lot of negatives, but I feel like it is part of the experience, I guess. We need to change it, of course. We need to make sure that we have more resource, we have more technology. We see in-house legal as something more than cost center, because I frankly believe that this is it's not an accurate. It's not great to see that department only as something that doesn't bring any value, especially now with this amount of technology and things that can really speed up the processes, and it can really help leverage the contract management process to create more value or even revenue for the company. So yeah, those are quite interesting topics, and yeah, certainly something that I do enjoy making.
I know. I always say that the legal industry pours into other industries, right? And I feel like sometimes we get so caught up as legal professionals in general, and I'm talking about anywhere from paralegals to lawyers to receptionists, anywhere you're at. If you're a legal professional, I think sometimes we get so caught up in the tasks and the deadlines and what is being asked of us that we forget to bring back the human and humanity, and we become sort of like robots. I don't know how we got to that point. I don't know if it's just, okay, let me just get through this and, whatever, it is what it is. I think we become very complacent about it. And especially as a legal support staff, we feel like we have no control and we have no say because we're not the bosses, we're not the ones paying the bills of the building and the business. But I think maybe if the people that actually work on the caseload, right, the people that are actually touching the files every single day, communicating with the clients, you know, doing all this stuff, actually come up and suggest things, right? I think it'll be a little better as far as progress wise. I think we'll progress a little faster. But yes, of course, things have to change. Every industry has their thing. But I think the legal industry is just so ancient. Like I don't think we've grown at all. Maybe now we have, right, because of the data and everything. But I think like our books, you know, everything, the law. I mean, look at the case law. Just do legal research, right? I do it on a day-to-day basis, and I'm like, I'm using case law from like 1986. I'm like, why am I doing that? You know. So I feel like the legal industry is just like that in general. That we just grow. We're growing. I'm not saying that we're not like moving the needle, but it's so like, okay, come on, you know, like I know they always say that Americans are like 100,000 miles per hour, but I was like, okay, maybe not that fast, but let's at least get some like current laws in, you know, about like cell phones and driving and, you know, sick days and PTO and all this good stuff. But yeah, I mean, it was great having you, Matt. I don't know if you had anything else to share. I don't want to cut you off because I think everything that you have to say is important, especially now with the legal industry. We're at a really good, I think we're in a really good place to have these conversations in open forums. And I love that you go on other platforms and do it as well. And other prior guests on the podcast do the same, you know, are doing the same thing. And they're actually, I had one prior guest that actually is going to law schools and actually talking about it, about how law schools need to, you know, change their format and change their curriculums and, you know, add to the syllabus, like you were saying throughout the conversation. And I think that's very important. I think apprenticeships are important, mentorships are important. I think they should be mandatory in both paralegal studies and law school, because I think it doesn't only prepare you for the practical skills of it all, but it prepares you for the mental status that you need to be in, because it's a very vigorous industry, and it's a very demanding industry, and we're always chasing deadlines. We're always trying to stay on top of our calendars and our tasks, and then try to be human at the same time. And I know it seems impossible sometimes, and I know we've lost a lot of good legal professionals from the industry. They leave and go to other things like human resource and things like that. We lose a lot of good talent because of that. So I think we can salvage what we have, and it's not all bad. I mean, there's plenty of amazing attorneys that are doing amazing things, such as yourself and such as other prior guests that I've had on the show. There's been growth and hope. In my case, there's been hope of progress and attorneys really changing those conversations and sitting at those tables of change. So hopefully, you know, the American bar seems to be listening. So I'm glad for that. And I always give them kudos for it, because I think it's such an important topic to take care of our own. And to have like a pledge and have programs and things like that, I think that's really important, and for it to be accessible to everyone, right? Because that's really key. Yes, I know the attorneys run the show, but if the legal staff is not where they need to be, then the business is not going to grow either. You know, there's no I in team. It's a team effort, you know, team building. So, but yeah, thanks, Matt. I appreciate your time. I appreciate what you're doing for the legal industry. I know you're in Italy, and I'm so jealous. That's like where I want to be one day, but you know, it is what it is. Yeah, so you know, warm weather over here in Florida, semi.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. That was yeah, a great conversation. And yeah, I mean, you've touched upon so many points that I'm just gonna say, yeah, I do agree that we should go into that sort of, we should think of it comes down to the fact that legal means business, and we need to think about how we can deliver value to our clients, how we can learn our clients' behavior a bit better, how we can market ourselves in a way that is client focused and not sort of not focused on the things that are standard, because like I said, every lawyer provides legal advice, but we need to think of providing our clients with something else, something that adds value, something that's innovative, and something that our clients will appreciate and not only that, but they will pay for it. They're willing to pay for something that we can give to them. So I would just finish at that. And yeah, thanks a lot for this. That was super cool to have a conversation with you, Ida. And yeah, indeed, Italy is a beautiful place to be, especially at this time. So yeah, thanks a lot for having me today.
Of course. Alrighty. Thank you so much, Matt. I really do appreciate your time here.
Thanks.